Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. You are listening to the Daly Dose Sports Podcast, and I am your host, Clint Daly, coming to you from the Mile High City here in Denver, Colorado, and we are back for another week of talking sports with a dose of common sense. Hey, happy Wednesday to you. Hope your week is going well. Hope you, your family, your friends, everyone in your world is staying strong and staying healthy right now. And kids, the 2024 Paris Olympics are now over. Yes, the United States won the overall medal count by nearly 30 medals over the next closest country. But you know, didn't it really feel like those Paris Olympics kind of crashed to an end when we reached that breakdancing competition? Holy cow. Did you see that fiasco? It looked like when your kid tells you to watch them do a trick in the wading pool, you know, when they were little, and they'd be like, Mom, Dad, watch me do this. And then they didn't do anything really. Yeah, this isn't a sport. Nothing about it was a sport. You know, I've thought for years that girls dancing around with a ribbon was bad. I don't know how, but the Olympics managed to find something worse than that.
It's more like a full-body dry heave. Set the music.
Now, prior to that breakdancing mess, we did actually see some very interesting gold medal matches. The U.S. women's soccer team scraped out a win against Brazil, and then both the men and the women's basketball teams had to come from behind and eke out close wins against France. Now, remember that both these teams, the men's and the women's U.S. team, we were told might be the greatest Team USA Olympic teams in history. However, there are a couple of problems with that. One, the world is catching us. Make no mistake about that. You know, back when we sent the Dream Team over, the rest of the world watched and said, we're going to model our game after those guys. And so their skills and their ability to understand the game, it's come a long way. Secondly, and do not get this twisted, our U.S. teams do not always play, let's say, the most efficient basketball. They just don't. Poor shot selection, really lazy defense, weak fundamentals have become synonymous with USA basketball. Now, don't misunderstand me. They have more pure talent than opposing countries, but the rest of the world is catching up with our game. And you know, at this rate, I know everyone's already looking forward. The 2028 Olympic Games are coming in Los Angeles. That's going to be here before we know it. Who's going to be on that team? I don't know, but I know this. Team USA in the sport of basketball, you're on notice. Because you might look at that and say, oh, well, they just played well that day, and fortunately we won. We're still better. And hey, if not for Steph Curry just playing out of his mind, by the way, not always playing intelligent basketball, but everything he threw up went in, Team USA is going home with a loss. It almost happened against Serbia. It almost happened again against France. We are on notice here in the United States. People don't want to hear that. Oh, but it's absolutely true. You know, one small bit of NFL news coming out on Tuesday, and that is Minnesota Vikings rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy will be on the shelf for a bit after tearing his right knee meniscus. Now, when they go into surgery, they'll see how bad it is, and then we'll know a little bit more. But hey, McCarthy looked pretty decent in his first game with the Vikings. But remember this. Remember when he was drafted there? And there were a number of questions like, well, is he really a Minnesota Vikings kind of guy? I mean, does he fit what the Vikings want to do? Got some big time weapons up there. Is he a Vikings kind of guy? But now, I mean, look back. Teddy Bridgewater, exploded leg. Sam Bradford, blown knee. Kirk Cousins, blown Achilles. Yeah, it seems like J.J. McCarthy actually is a perfect fit. Hey, today on the show, football season is coming, and it is coming fast. NFL preseason games are already underway, and the first college football game of the year kicks off in just 10 days. Yeah, today we are going to take a look at some of the big games that are coming on the schedule in both the NFL and in college football. Plus, we will have a Daly Dose top 5 for you today. We're going to be discussing some early season college football games today. But here's the question. Do any of those games even matter? Our Daly Dose top 5 is going to have something to say about that. But let's jump into the college football schedule. Because like I said, college football kicks off with real, live, actual games on Saturday, August 24th. Hey, folks, that is coming fast. Maybe that Saturday doesn't have any great games, I understand. But we do get number 10 Florida State facing Georgia Tech. That game will be played in Dublin, Ireland. Now, Florida State felt like they got robbed by the NCAA last year when they didn't make the college football playoff. Hey, they're going to be on a mission this year to dominate a Georgia Tech team that is slowly improving. Not a horrible game. Not bad. First game of the year. Yeah, I'll tune in and I'll watch a little bit of that. Okay. But the following week, that is when college football really gets going. Because check out the lineup for Labor Day weekend. At 10 a.m. Saturday morning, number 1 Georgia will be playing number 14 Clemson in Atlanta. Hey, this has huge implications for both teams. We're not done. We also get a big rivalry game when number 8 Penn State goes to Morgantown, West Virginia to play the Mountaineers. Okay. These two schools hate each other. I'll watch a little of that. At 1:30, we get a game. It's not what it used to be, but number 19 Miami going to Gainesville to take on a Florida Gators team that really needs to show some improvement this year. Yeah, it's pretty decent. Finally, at 5:30 p.m., number 7 Notre Dame goes to College Station to take on number 20 Texas A&M. Hey, that's a jam-packed day right there of college football. Oh, but we're not done. Because then on Sunday, September 1st, we get number 23 USC facing number 13 LSU in Las Vegas. Southern Cal versus Louisiana State. Both these schools have some big games on their schedule this year. One of these teams is going to be starting the year 0-1. Yeah, I'm going to be watching that one. And then on Monday night, we'll get one last little bit of college football, and that will be when Boston College will go to Tallahassee to face, again, number 10 Florida State. Now, this should be a blowout, right? But remember this, Boston College abruptly had their head coach, Jeff Hafley, just leave. He went to the NFL to be like an assistant. So Boston College went out and hired Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien takes over at BC this year. He has a little bit of talent. It might be at least interesting. Maybe Boston College at least keeps that a little bit close and makes it worth watching. Okay, but let's fast forward. September 7th has a few fun games. Number 4 Texas goes to Ann Arbor to take on the defending champion number 9 Michigan Wolverines. Now, both Texas and Michigan have huge expectations this year, right? We'll see who comes out on top there. I think it is a little more interesting because it is in the big house at Michigan. We get a rivalry game on September 7th because Iowa State will go to number 25 Iowa. Now, Iowa, we know they can't ever score points, but they might be sneaky tough this year. We also get Baylor, who will be paying their players to go to number 12 Utah that weekend. Again, not bad. Finally, on September 7th, we get number 15 Tennessee going to number 24 North Carolina State. Now, that doesn't sound like it would be a big-time game. That might be much better than expected. Okay, that's September 7th. Not bad. Okay, but as far as the early season schedule, it might not get any better than September 14th. Don't forget, mark your calendars. Don't say you didn't know. On September 14th, we get number 5 Alabama going to Camp Randall Stadium to take on a Wisconsin team that really kind of needs to bounce back a little bit. Remember last year, Luke Fickell's first year at Wisconsin? It wasn't horrible, but it was underwhelming for sure. Bama versus Wisconsin? That's not bad. Then we get two former Pac-12 rivalries. Because remember, the Pac-12 has been broken up now. We have conference realignment. So usually we would see these games late in the season. This year, we're going to get them on September 14th. We have number 3 Oregon going to Oregon State. And we know that's a big rivalry. Then we also get Washington State going to Washington. Usually those are late season games. Usually weather plays a factor. Not the case this year. They'll be a little bit earlier. Finally, we get to see number 1 Georgia going to Lexington to face what could be a very dangerous Kentucky Wildcat team. Could Kentucky catch Georgia looking past them? You might say, who are they looking past them to? I'll tell you in just one second. We move to September 21st. That has 2 decent matchups at least. Number 16 Oklahoma gets introduced to being in the SEC when they host number 15 Tennessee. And then we get number 23 USC going to number 9 Michigan. Now, both of these are games that you'd look at and be like, well, that's like a bowl game. No. These are now conference games. That is how much things are changing in college football. You know, I want to watch Michigan this year. Number 9, are they overrated? They might be. But can USC prove that? We're going to see. Michigan's got a couple of big early games. Okay, so let's just finish off the month of September in college football with another huge week again. September 28th, it's also a monster. Number 16 Oklahoma has to rally after playing that Tennessee game and go to the Plains to play Auburn. Now, that should be an easy win. But this isn't the Big 12. You don't just get a dog. You got to go play Auburn. Might not be as easy as you think. Then, number 2 Ohio State goes to East Lansing to play a Michigan State team. Okay, they've got some building to do. They've got some work to do. Wisconsin will go to Los Angeles to play those number 23 USC Trojans. We're going to know a lot about USC after the month of September. And then, again, mark it on your calendar, September 28th, we get a heavyweight fight. Number 1 Georgia goes to Tuscaloosa to play the number 5 Alabama Crimson Tide. Hey, I know it's only September. I know it's very, very early. We're going to have a lot of football to go. Number 1 versus number 5. Forget playoff implications. That's got championship game implications. Hey, you know, in college football, you only get so many opportunities. You don't get 17 games. You get 11, 12, 13 games. That's it. With all the changes this season to the conferences and now going with that 12-team college football playoff, these early season games are going to have a massive impact on who is actually going to make it to that brand new 12-team college football playoff. It's coming quickly, and I can't wait for it. Okay, coming back, we're going to dive into the NFL schedule that has a number of fun early season games, but we're also going to take a look at what the NFL is doing at the holidays this year. Yeah, they're just going to take over the holiday season. And then we need to get over to our Daly Dose top 5. You know, we just looked at the month of September in college football. But do those early season games even really matter all that much? Our Daly Dose top 5 will look at 5 college football games that were played in September. Oh, and they were huge. Okay, so let's switch over to the National Football League, which is now just 22 days away from kicking off real, live, regular season games. But I mean, who's counting, right? And in that season opener, on Thursday, September 5th, we get a very good matchup. We have an AFC Championship rematch when the Baltimore Ravens go to Arrowhead Stadium to play the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. Hey, both Baltimore and Kansas City have title hopes. They both think they can win it all. Everyone is going to be tuned in on Thursday night to this one. That's a fun one. But then we're not done, because on Friday night, we get one more NFL game opening weekend as the Green Bay Packers, who were a big surprise last season, will be facing the Philadelphia Eagles, who, kind of fell apart down the stretch last season. Well, the Packers versus the Eagles are going to match up in São Paulo, Brazil. Hey, both these teams have playoff expectations. It's going to be on a Friday night. It's going to be prime time. Yeah, they're going to get some big numbers on that game. Okay, so let's look at week 1, because we do have a couple of decent games. Jacksonville goes to Miami for the Battle of, Florida. The Las Vegas Raiders will play the Chargers in Los Angeles in a big AFC West divisional game. And then the Los Angeles Rams will go to Detroit for a rematch of that exciting wild card game from just last year. Hey, September 8th, that opening Sunday of the NFL, yeah, that's pretty good. But wait, opening weekend isn't over, because on Monday night, Aaron Rodgers will be back, and he'll be taking his New York Jets to San Francisco to face the NFC champion San Francisco 49ers. Hey, opening weekend in this NFL season, yeah, it's going to be really good. Okay, I'm not going to break down every single week of the NFL. I know a million people have already done that. I don't want to do that. But I do want to fast forward to one section. I want to fast forward to those holiday games, because they're very interesting this year. For the last, decade, it seems like the Thanksgiving Day games, they're mostly awful. The very late one might be good, but that's about it. This year, it's actually a little better. First game, we get rookie quarterback Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears going to Detroit to face the Lions, who are not the same old Lions. This should be a very good game for the Bears to face a solid playoff team with a very young team that is trying to be a playoff team. Not a bad starter on Thanksgiving morning. Usually, I barely even watch the first game on Thanksgiving. I don't. It's not that good. This one's not bad. Secondly, yes, the New York Giants going to Dallas in game 2, that kind of stinks. But you're eating. You're having turkey. You're doing all those things. Then, in the third game, we get the explosive Miami Dolphins going to Green Bay for a battle with the Packers. Hey, that's a pretty nice finish to Thanksgiving night. But wait, once again, the NFL is also going to take the Black Friday audience, because the Las Vegas Raiders go to Kansas City to play the Chiefs on Friday night. Not usually a time that we have an NFL game. We do this year. So the NFL is going to own Thanksgiving weekend. Okay, cool. That's not that uncommon, right? Well, the NFL is also going to dominate Christmas again, because they're going to have 2 games on Christmas Day. Now, this year, Christmas falls on a Wednesday. On that Wednesday, the Kansas City Chiefs, again, world champs, will face the Pittsburgh Steelers. We know maybe the Steelers aren't as good as they have been, but they're going to be pushing for a playoff spot. That's not a bad game. And then the Baltimore Ravens will go to Houston to take on a very young but very talented C.J. Stroud-led Texans team, one of the biggest surprises of last year. Now, remember what the NFL did last year. They owned Christmas Day. They owned that whole weekend. Yeah, they're going to do that again this year. These are 2 very good games being played on Christmas Day. Okay, so that's Christmas Day. But the NFL isn't done, because then you have a Thursday night game the night after Christmas. It's not bad. You have the Seattle Seahawks, a team, again, hoping for a playoff spot, going to Chicago to face that young Caleb Williams Chicago Bears team. Again, not a great game, but not bad. I'll probably tune in for it. Finally, we fast forward to New Year's. On New Year's Eve, because again, New Year's Day will fall on Wednesday, so this will be the Monday night game. We get an NFC Championship game rematch. The Detroit Lions go to San Francisco to face the 49ers. That is going to, again, be a big game with playoff implications, And a game last year, hey, Detroit could have won that and actually gone to the Super Bowl. You know, the NFL has a stacked schedule again this year. And as you can see, they are not just happy owning the fall ratings. No. They want more. The NBA, Major League Baseball, whatever. You can battle for the scraps because the NFL is going to take a big, giant portion and leave you with whatever is left over, because that is just what the NFL is able to do right now. Hey, they own TV ratings right now. Now, as we do so many weeks here at the Daly Dose, we need to get over to our Daly Dose top 5. You know, this week we have talked some about schedules. We have discussed some early college football games that we have coming in just a matter of weeks. Okay, but the season is long. I mean, it goes clear to what, New Year's Day? What difference do some games played back in September really matter? A lot of us are still outside enjoying the summer. Am I really going to go in and start watching football already? Well, today, our Daly Dose Top 5 is counting down 5 very memorable college football games, and they were all played in the month of September. Hey, sometimes these games actually impact the entire season. We start off at number 5. And we go back to September of 1971, where we have a game that actually transcends what even happened on the field. Now, the game itself was a low-scoring battle between two teams that aren't even known for their football prowess, to be very honest. But that doesn't mean this was anything less than a dramatic storybook finish. Freshman running back Terry Gardner caught a 13-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Reggie Oliver on the game's final play, and that touchdown gave the Marshall Thundering Herd a 15-13 win over Xavier. Okay, big deal, right? Well, it was kind of a big deal. Because for Marshall, it was their first victory. And it took place just 10 months and 11 days after a 1970 plane crash that had killed 75 Marshall players, coaches, and supporters. The plane crashed near the airport in Huntington, West Virginia, after the team was returning from a game at East Carolina. The entire team and the entire staff had to be completely rebuilt. The young Thundering Herd team lifted the school and the entire community with that thrilling last-second win. Marshall's win, after what was a horrible tragedy, comes in today on our list at number 5. We move next to number 4. And we go back to the year 1988. Now, the Florida State Seminoles were the preseason number 1 in the country, but on September 17th of 88, they found themselves in a dogfight. It was raining, it was messy, it was muddy. Now, you have to understand this. This was not the Florida State team that had national titles, not yet. Bobby Bowden had come to Tallahassee in 76, but he hadn't won the big one just yet. Well, in this game at Death Valley against the Clemson Tigers, we saw just how gutsy Bobby Bowden could be with just over a minute to play. In, like I said, a mud bowl kind of game, the score is tied 21-21. The Seminoles lined up to punt on their own 20-yard line, facing a 4th and 4. But Bowden, instead of calling a punt, called a play that he had named the punt Rooski. So the snap went to one of the up blockers, who handed it forward between the legs of another up blocker. That up blocker was named Leroy Butler. You might remember him being a defensive back in the NFL for years. And Leroy Butler paused for a second, then took off running 78 yards around the left end. 4 plays later, Florida State kicked the winning 19-yard field goal, and the Seminoles escaped with a huge win. They would go on to beat Auburn in the Sugar Bowl, and just 5 years later, Bobby Bowden would win his first national championship. But hey, Florida State pulling out a wild come-from-behind win in Death Valley in September, it comes in today on our list at number 4. We reach number 3, and we get another insane finish. We go back to the year 1994, where the number 7 Colorado Buffaloes, who had Cordell Stewart and Rashawn Salaam and Michael Westbrook, went to the Big House in Ann Arbor, Michigan to face the number 4 Michigan Wolverines, who had Todd Collins and Amani Toomer and Tyrone Wheatley. Now, the Wolverines led 26-14 late in the game. This game was over. And then things went crazy. Colorado scored on a 1-yard touchdown run from Rashawn Salaam with just over 2 minutes to play. Okay, but you're still down by 5. Well, they tried an onside kick. It didn't work. So the Wolverines looked to run out the clock, but Michigan committed a false start penalty that stopped the clock and turned a 3rd and 2 into a 3rd and 7. They failed to convert. They had to punt. So Colorado gets the ball back on their own 15-yard line with just 15 seconds to play. Okay, game's still over. Cordell Stewart throws a deep cross to Michael Westbrook, and they pick up a quick 21 yards. That was big, because then Stewart spiked the ball with 6 seconds left, and then the impossible happened. Stewart rolled out, bought himself a little time, gathered himself, and then launched the ball more than 70 yards in the air. Wide receiver Blake Anderson jumped, tipped the ball up to a diving Michael Westbrook, who jumped over safety Chuck Winters into the end zone to catch the winning touchdown with no time left. It gets worse for Michigan. For one, Westbrook is from Detroit. Secondly, he and Winters were youth football teammates. Yeah, add insult to injury, that had to sting. The Colorado Buffaloes stole a wild one with the Miracle in Michigan. And it happened in September, and it comes in today on our list at number 3. We reach number 2 on our list of memorable early college football games, and we go back to 1982. The Pitt Panthers were the preseason number 1. They had a quarterback, some guy by the name of Dan Marino, I think. But the number 2 team in the country was the Tom Osborne-led Nebraska Cornhuskers team. Now, if you don't remember them, they had a quarterback named Turner Gill, a couple of running backs named Mike Rozier and Roger Craig, and then kind of a flanker back that was super dangerous named Irving Fryer. The Huskers were loaded. On September 25th of 82, the Huskers went to Happy Valley for a battle with Joe Paterno's Nittany Lions of Penn State. And down 24-20, Penn State quarterback Todd Blackledge threw a 2-yard game-winning touchdown pass to a guy by the name of Kirk Bauman with 4 seconds left. But that's not the play that Husker fans remember. Because on the previous play, Blackledge actually threw a 15-yard pass to wide receiver Mike McCloskey, and everyone but the officials saw Mike McCloskey caught that thing out of bounds. Husker fans are still mad about that phantom catch. Now remember, this game was played in September. Does it really matter? Who really cares? But at season's end, there was some debate. Because who would go to the Sugar Bowl to face number 1 Georgia? Well, you had Penn State, who actually had a 21-point loss to Alabama during the season. Or you had Nebraska, who had a 3-point loss to, yes, that's right, Penn State. As a result, the pollsters sent Penn State to the Sugar Bowl over Nebraska, and then Penn State won the Sugar Bowl. They beat Georgia 27-23 and won the national championship. Hey, think these early season games don't matter? Think again. Penn State beating Nebraska in 82 is proof, and it comes in today at number 2. So we reach the number 1 most memorable early season college football game, and we don't have to go back that far. We go back to 2007, where the number 5 Michigan Wolverines would have been a huge favorite if Vegas had even bothered to set a line. But why set a line? They were playing an FCS school. Granted, Appalachian State was the FCS champions, and granted, they had a magical quarterback by the name of Armani Edwards, but they're not going to set a spread on this game. Well, Appalachian State went to Ann Arbor to get pounded and then get a paycheck, right? Yeah, that's not how this day went. Armani Edwards threw 3 touchdowns. He ran for another, and the game changed leads 4 times in the last 5 minutes. Appalachian State drove 69 yards for a 24-yard field goal. They took the lead 34-32 with just 26 seconds left to play. But Michigan wasn't done. They respond with a long pass from Chad Henne to Mario Manningham. I don't know how he got behind the DBs, but he did. And Michigan has a 37-yard field goal with 6 seconds to play. Okay, it was a valiant effort by Appalachian State, but Goliath is still going to win this battle, right? Nope. Appalachian State's Corey Lynch blocked the kick and returned it nearly for a score. And this game went directly into the history book. Appalachian State 34, Michigan 32. Hey, we'll see what this college football season brings. But it's going to be wild. We have teams jumping conferences. We have a 12-team playoff. And we just might see a very wild early season game. As you can see from our Daly Dose Top 5 today, we have seen plenty of them before. Hey, next week on The Dose, we will be bringing you our annual 2024 college football preview. We will look at each conference. We will make our picks for the top contenders. Who's going to win each conference? Who's going to get close? Who's going to win the Heisman? Who will be going to that very first 12-team college football playoff? We will answer each of those questions and many, many more. Yes, we will have an expanded edition of the Daly Dose next week. So be sure to tune in and be sure you let a friend know to do the same. Hey, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for listening to the Daly Dose every week. Thank you for the emails. Thank you for the text. Thank you for the tweets. Thank you for stopping by DailyDoseSports.com. We did put up a new article this week. Plus, we have links to the podcast and links to the video. But more than anything, thank you for sharing the show, for sharing the videos, for sharing the articles with someone that you know. We absolutely love it when you do that. Have to say thank you to JSP. Could not do any of this without you. I will see you all next Wednesday. Have a great week, everybody.
It's more like a full-body dry heave. Set the music.